Hey guys, Captain Dylan Hubbard here at Hubbard's Marina, and we've got Captain James in studio tonight. What's going on, Captain James?
How you guys doing tonight?
And we're going to be talking fishing and having a good time tonight, talking all things inshore, nearshore, and offshore fishing-wise. Plus, we're going to be answering your questions, giving away free trips, and talking about weather, what's going on now, what's coming up, what we're excited about, what we're looking forward to, and of course, giving away lots of free stuff. We're going to be giving away over $1,500 in free fishing trips, Hubbard's Marina swag, and more. Plus, again, answering your questions live during the show. If you want your question answered live during the show, make sure you drop a comment on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream in order to be eligible to win. All you have to do is comment one time, say hello, say where you're watching from, maybe tag a friend, or share it to your favorite Facebook group or your timeline. Make sure you like the stream for us. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, Trovo, Twitch. Make sure you follow us on TikTok, Instagram, all that good stuff as well. But in order to be eligible to win, all you have to do is comment one time. Anything you want on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream. You can watch on the Captain Dylan Hubbard Facebook page, the Real Animals Facebook page. You can watch on a myriad of different pages, or on YouTube, Trovo, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, wherever you want to watch. But in order to be eligible to win, you have to comment once on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream. Then watch the entire show live. That's the trick. This is a live show every Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. You can join us live for a chance to win. You comment once and then watch live. And if you're picked as one of those lucky winners, you have to comment you have to text us within 5 minutes to the phone number at the bottom of the screen. So remember, watch live, comment once, get ready to text us if you're picked as one of the random drawing winners throughout the show, randomly. So, random winners, randomly throughout the show. You have to watch live in order to be eligible to win, and comment once. So, with that, we also want to give a shout out to our friends over there at Gator Jim's Tackle, 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South in St. Pete. If you haven't stopped by and seen our friends at Gator Jim's Tackle, you're missing out. Even if you have stopped by again. Check them out, say hello. Tell them Hubbard's Marina sent you. If you got a young angler with you, they have a special gift for any young angler that mentions Hubbard's Marina. And then if you're not a young angler, still mention Hubbard's Marina, and they'll thank you. And I'll thank you too. Plus, there's a lot of cool stuff over there. Killer deals, good people, really worth the visit over at Gator Jim's Tackle. Plus, on top of that, want to give a special shout out to our supporters club. Anybody in that supporters group, really, really appreciate you to help support, fuel, and really make this show possible. And of course, all of those send-in stars. The star senders, of course, help fuel the show and make this all possible as well. We couldn't do our live stream show without you guys in our supporters group, and of course all those send-in stars as well is super appreciated and super helpful. Speaking of sending stars so far, let's see who we got tonight so far to start us out. It looks like Tim McCardle. We appreciate those stars, my friend, getting us kicked off tonight on this Sunday, September 3rd live stream show. I just looked at my watch. It's not here. It's half past a freckle. It's charging right now, so kind of lost. Good thing the computer has a date on it. So with that, let's get into some photos. We're going to talk about what we're catching now. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the weather. We're going to hear from our buddy Capt Mike Anderson. And then we're going to get to your questions and, of course, talk to this guy a little bit, too. Phil Batista, appreciate those stars, my man. Lance Hall with the big 500 stars. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much. All right, so with that, we are going to get rolling into the photos and show you guys what we got. All right, so the photos are looking a little slow, so bear with us here. We're going to start and get rolling and see what happens with the photos. We've had a little bit of technical difficulties tonight, but luckily Josh is on the case for us and making us sound pretty as he scrambles to fix it. Should we hold off on photos, Josh? Is that what you're trying to say? Yeah, let's hold off. All right, we're going to hold off on photos. We will get to photos very shortly, but fishing's been good. And what's cool right now is we're excited. Hog fishing is picking up. You had a trip today, didn't you?
Yeah, I had a half day today. The hog fishing's going to start picking up. The water was still just a little dirty just because we had that big storm that just went by.
We had a big storm just now? We did?
It was like a decent one, but it was a little worse than we thought it was going to be in our area.
A little bit.
But hog fishing is going to start picking up. As it gets cooler, the temperature starts to drop. They're going to start building up on more structural bottom, and so it should be spawning, and it's the best time to go out there and get them real light tackle. If you got 1-2 ounce leads, just little tiny hooks, or a lot of people have been really hitting them hard with the ball jigs. And just stay persistent using the shrimp. I know you may have to use one after another, and you'll go through quite a few porgies, black sea bass, different stuff, but eventually you will get that hogfish, and you'll know it. And if it ain't a hogfish, it's a triggerfish, because they fight just about the same.
And you got some hogfish today. I think you guys got, 3 keeper hogs on the
Yeah, we got 3 keeper hogs. We threw back like another 5, and
nice.
We're going to start really getting into that pattern and fishing more of that structural bottom, anchoring up. And as it gets cooler, the weather does pick up just a little bit, but it's a perfect time for us to anchor up and start getting a lot more of those hogfish and get some really quality, good eating stuff.
So today we had to anchor up a little bit more behind the storm, because behind the storm, it stirred up the water a lot. The water's dirty out there. It's kind of like almost a dark green, brownish color in Johns Pass because of all that freshwater influx and a lot more outflowing behind that full moon. And you're seeing that dirty water extend near shore where we're fishing, right?
Yeah, we shot out, and we even poked out like another mile and a half, stayed just a little bit later on the half day just to try and get out a little bit further, try to find some cleaner water. And it still is kind of dirty out there. And say it's going to start cleaning up over time. It's going to take just probably another couple of days, and we'll start seeing it, especially with the good weather pattern we got right now.
But that's kind of the idea behind anchoring up more, right? Is the drift was a little slow for you.
Yeah, the drift was a little slow, so we anchored up, and it took a good minute or two. The fish had to really find us and kind of smell it out and honestly run into the bait because the water is so dirty. But after a little bit, they started going just enough, and you pick quite a few, and then we just pull the hook and keep moving, stick and go.
So you anchor up, you get the baits in the water. The water's really dirty, so we get some squid going, we get some shrimp going. That smell starts going in the water, and that dirty water, those fish come to that stinky, smelly squid. You start picking a few fish, you start that chain reaction. That's what helps us to catch those gray snapper or white grunts and porgies, and then all of a sudden you start seeing the hogfish.
Yeah, I feel like the gray snapper and porgies, every spot you go to, they kind of start to set it off. I always say it's bad luck if you catch a hogfish right off the bat, because then I feel like you catch one, you get super excited, and then they kind of shut down on you. But, yeah, you'll catch a few porgies, gray snapper, and then the hogfish, I feel like they kind of stay around the background. They watch everything for a minute, and then they slowly start to move in, and then you start getting more and more of them. And as it starts to get cooler, the numbers will be way up, and we'll get a whole lot more.
They're a lot more leader shy and unaggressive, so they hang back. You have to get lucky or be doing everything right to kind of get them, huh?
Yeah. If you stay on it and stay persistent, don't change spots. If you see someone catch one over here, that's bad luck. You just stay right where you're at, stay after it, and you will get one.
You got to stay persistent, consistent, and get a little lucky too. I can't tell you how many times that we've been on a trip. I remember a filming trip pretty early on. I was on a half-day trip, a regular trip. We were filming some how-tos on hogfish, and there was a little kid on one side of me, a little kid on the other side of me, and I've got like the spinning rod, the 25, 30-pound braid, the 4000 series reel, the 1-ounce egg sinker, the 20-pound fluorocarbon, I think it was like 25-pound fluorocarbon, 3-aught hook, the live shrimp, like everything ready to rock and roll. Kids on either side of me using squid on a rental rod. They both caught hogfish.
That's the way it goes.
I didn't catch one.
One of my favorite ones was with you back in the day, and
you're gonna bring this
Dylan.
story up.
Yeah, Dylan ripped up in the skiff, and he's like, "It's my day off. Let's go fishing." And we jumped in. It was J14 or J16.
No,
right?
man, 17.
No? Was this? Oh,
it wasn't a J series. It was 17.
The 17, and we scooted on over to Gators at the time. And I dropped down, and I was like, dude, I caught a hogfish, and it was about yay big. And he's like, you're a liar. And then he told me he hated me the rest of the day, and that was probably my favorite hogfish.
We all thought he was a liar. There was more than just me on the boat with you. It was me, and I think it was like Will.
Yeah, there's no way you went with just me. There's no way.
That's probably true, too. But it was fun, and you did catch a hogfish, even though no one believed you at the time.
Yeah, nobody believed me, but I did it. There's a picture somewhere.
Yeah. Inside Johns Pass, so it can happen, but most of the time we find hogfish, 30 to 70 foot?
I like that, like 35 to about 50, 45 foot. 40, 45 foot's my favorite mark. You get out a little bit deeper. The lanes seem to get kind of aggressive, and I don't seem to catch as many. So that 35 to 45 foot's my favorite area to start looking for them. Get any deeper than that, like I said, you feel like you get too many of the other fish. You know, it's good to have them, but
yeah, and you can get hogfish. People ask, like, oh, can you catch hogfish on a 39 hour? And you can.
Oh, you can. If you go out there and you use shrimp, and you know, the chances aren't, you know, way up there, but there's a couple guys this season that caught some big hogfish, and they're down there. It's just a matter of fishing for them.
Yeah. And also getting lucky because, like you said, there's other more aggressive fish around.
Oh, yeah, there's other fish down there.
So the deeper you go, the tougher it gets to really target the hogfish consistently and get them. But I think we got the photos ready at this point, Josh. All right, photos are ready. So we're going to rip through some photos, show you guys what we're catching right now. We don't have a ton of photos because that little storm James mentioned earlier, Hurricane Idalia, slowed us down a little bit. Didn't get as many photos as we would have liked, but let's show you what we got so far this week. And we definitely had some snook action prior to the storm. Now that we're into that post-storm kind of stirred up condition, I think it's going to be a little bit tougher to find these snook, but we're definitely seeing some nice snook around. Prior to the storm, now post-storm, the water's really dirty. I haven't really seen the snook in the morning. I think they're just deeper, maybe?
I was down at Don's Dock the other day, and they were up in the light, but it was also like
after the storm?
Yeah, it was like 1 a.m., and there was a bunch of kids fishing up on the boardwalk, and they said that they caught a couple of them. But at our dock, I haven't seen too many. The sand's been kind of building up, so I don't think they have as much room as they normally have.
And also, it just seems like that dirtier fresh water kind of pushed them back. Not only do we have more fresh water, but the days are getting shorter. It's starting to get, I mean, we had our first cold front. So we're starting to see a lot of those snook transition from the beaches, from the passes, to more of the back bay area. And I think this storm really pushed a lot of them back. And I think we're going to see those numbers dwindle even more coming up. But the other thing is the redfish. The redfish start coming back. That fresh water outflowing from the back bay really brings those redfish in. We've been seeing a big uptick in the redfish action as of late around the bay. Around the mangroves, we're going to start seeing more redfish around Johns Pass. Around the dock lights, bridge lights, we should see some more redfish action picking up. They're definitely active behind this storm out on the flats right now. A lot of rain, a lot of cloud cover has lowered that water temperature and really increased the redfish action. The snook are around, and you still have a few weeks left to get a few out on the beaches, but just a little tougher to sight fish them on the beach when the water's dark brown and tannic like the rivers basically were 2 weeks ago. So it's just a little bit different. But like today, for example, at high tide, it got pretty clean on the beaches and around the pass. So it does clean up. You are able to find them. It's just a little bit tougher right now as we move closer to that time of year where those snooks start to retreat. You get a little bit tougher along the beaches and passes. So if you want to get a beach snook, a Johns Pass snook, a late night, early morning snook, now is the time to do it. Take advantage of them before they are gone. You can see you're going to catch more of these type snook. Look how dark that fish is.
That's a pretty fish, though. Yeah. That's a good picture.
Dark. Showing it's in dark water, showing it's further back up in the bay, hanging out in that mud. And this is what we're going to see more of that fall time snook. A lot of the schoolies, a lot of the more active fish. Water temperatures starting to chill out a little bit. More fresh water, more darker water. And they get frisky, and they get a little bit more feisty out there in the shallower water. So perfect timing. We've got Captain Mike on the line as we finished up our inshore photos. Captain Mike can tell us a little bit more about what's going on inshore and what's going on with those redfish and other species. What's going on, Captain Mike?
What up, my brother?
How are you tonight, my friend?
I'm fantastic. Had a beautiful day on the water with the family.
Nice.
Water temp, 85 degrees.
Ooh,
perfect.
Cooling down.
Perfect.
Nice.
Yeah, perfect.
So wait.
Perfect.
A holiday weekend day. You went out on the boat for fun? I know that wasn't your idea.
Not fishing, just for fun. Just for fun. It wasn't bad, actually.
Irma
wasn't
Pass?
very crowded. Yeah, well, to Bunce's Pass, yeah.
Nice. That's awesome,
yeah.
man.
Yeah, there was a lot of people out there, but it wasn't too bad. So it was a good day with the kids and grandkids, and
That's
just
awesome.
get some sun and relax a little bit. ran into some of my guide buddies who ran some trips this morning. Grouper bite, fantastic in the bay, really ridiculous. One guy I talked to.
I can't believe it. I saw a photo this morning of someone catching a limit of gags at the Skyway +1. So it's already happening.
37-incher was caught on troll this morning. 37-incher, yeah.
Yeah.
Big gag. And actually, one of the better offshore fishermen, inshore gag grouper fishermen that I know, had trips every day since it opened, and they've been done by 10 a.m.
Wow. Catching
limited
limits.
Out, party over, catching big fish.
That's crazy.
So that bite's been really, really good here early morning on the backside of this moon, which makes sense. That early morning bite, that's the time to get them on the backside of the moon.
Early morning, and it's an outgoing tide, huh?
Weird.
Full moon outgoing, huh? It holds true.
It does. Holds very true.
You know what the color of the plug?
White.
White is
everything my boy pulls is white.
Ah,
he says white's the color. I don't know why exactly, but he said white's the color.
What's your favorite
which
color,
makes
James?
sense.
Honestly, I like the orange. The white's good. I'm imagining that he's using the white. It's got the red head on it.
Right.
The white's definitely a good color, but I go through a little spill where if I don't get anything after like 15, 20 minutes, I get aggravated and change the color just to change it.
You're OCD though.
Yeah.
So in studio tonight, Captain Mike, we have James, one of our captains at Hubbard's Marina, who I was telling you about on the radio show last year when we were talking about trolling for gags. So he's a big gag trolling guy and uses the mirror lures. What are they called again?
25 plus.
That's it. It's been a while. It's been a year since we talked about the mirror lure 25 pluses. So had to refresh my memory. And I saw a local fisherman post from Tampa Fishing Outfitters some like orange yellow style lipped diving plug that he was having a lot of success on. I guess Pam Worth, trolling it around on her kayak, said that's her favorite color. So orange, yellow, white seems to be a good mix.
Yeah, the bright colors seem to help really whenever the water's a little dirty, it's a little murky. And then I like the lighter colors or the really dark colors, like the dark purple seems to work really well when the water's crystal clear. It just seems to hit really good. Say they do make the smaller plugs. It's got like a metal lip on it, and those only go down about 15 feet, and they're really good for the bay. But if you use those 25s, you got to really watch where you pull them because I tell you what, they add up really fast.
And you can lose a lot of them.
Yeah.
That's the trick. That's the trick for sure. So besides the gag trolling, what else are we seeing inshore right now?
Snook bites red hot. Fish are in full-blown transition now, especially with this cool down. The redfish bites picked up. A couple of guys I talked to found some schools, even down around Fort DeSoto this morning. So that's really good to see. It's been really kind of sparse down there. We hadn't got a good push yet, and it seems like the storm pushed in some new fish. So I think that's kind of a bonus. Talked to another guy this morning who was just tearing up the 20+ inch trout in 5 to 7 foot of water, throwing white paddle tails. Yeah, white paddle tails, letting them sink on a 1/4 ounce jig head. Just above the grass, and was crushing the big trout today. So
that's awesome.
Got some good reports. Yeah, well, I'm not surprised. Again, with that water temp hitting 85, the water was cleaner than I thought it was going to be. I think that has to do with that super moon and these big tides. It cleaned up pretty quick. So I think all that kind of plays in. There was some floating grass around, which doesn't totally surprise me. Which would make the artificials a little tough. But if you can fight through it, it sure seems like the bite's really, really good right now. Redfish, snook, trout, all good. The grouper bite, obviously, very, very good, especially on that early morning outgoing. So things are happening for sure.
That's awesome, man. So trout have moved a lot shallower. 5 to 7 foot seems a lot shallower than last time we were talking. Snook, our snook fishery is so localized, and my bubble is so small when it comes to inshore fishing. In John's Pass, we were just talking about it before you called, about how we're not really seeing them up on the surface as much. They're definitely not concentrated as much in the past. We're already seeing quite a big decline. So I'm not surprised to hear you saying that it's red hot. They're in full transition mode already. So when you say the snook bite's red hot, they're catching them chumming on the flats, right?
They are, and what you want to do is you want to focus on the passes. They're not so much in the pass, but along the mangrove edges, all outside the passes.
Okay.
So again, it's kind of full transition. Like they haven't slid into fall haunts yet. There's a lot of bait on the flats. Once that water temp cooled, a lot of that bait, ran off the skyway and went to the flats, where it should have been anyway if the water temps hadn't been quite so high.
Yeah.
And they're feeding big time right before they slide into those kind of early, to mid fall haunts.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they're sitting. So again, you'll catch a few in the passes now because there's always a few early birds that kind of slide back there early.
Yeah.
But most of the stuff it's still out front of the passes, but it's on those mangrove shorelines. They know what's coming. They're sensing the length of day is shortening up. They're sensing that water temp just dropped. They know what's on the horizon here. So it seems like they're getting ready to bug into full fall mode.
That's awesome, man. Well, that's all good news, and it sounds like Inshore game's popping off, getting ready for that fall transition. So we appreciate the phone call, my friend.
You bet, brother. We appreciate the show, and you guys have a great night. Thanks for letting me chime in.
I wanted to tell you, I had a guest today drive from, I forget where they said, it was somewhere in like northeast St. Pete. They drove all the way out to Hubbard's Marina to get a 4-pack of real animals catch.
Nice.
Isn't that crazy?
Nice. Well, God bless them. That's great.
Drove all the way out because they knew we had the real
hopefully it was
catch.
worth the trip. Hopefully it was worth it.
Oh, they cracked them in the office and started drinking them, and they were very impressed. So they enjoyed the beer for sure. So definitely seeing it catch on.
Good. Well, we appreciate you carrying it, brother, very much, and I look forward to next week getting in the air chair and sharing a couple hours with you and getting the world back on track here.
Let's do it, man. All right, I'll see you Saturday.
Right.
Thanks, Capt Mike.
Have a great week, guys. We appreciate you.
See you, buddy.
Have a good one, Mike.
Cheers on.
All right, so that's it. We heard our inshore report, and now we know what's going on inshore even more, and we can move into our nearshore and offshore photos and then rip through some weather real fast and get to some questions and answers. First things first, though, want to give a shout out to some star senders. Katrina McDougal, Tony Barnes, Richard Harcourt, and let's see, Ashley Pettit with a big 310. Thank you, Ashley. D. Beers with 1,000 stars. Thank you, D. And Mike. Richard Bedwell with 500. Appreciate you, my friend. Lee Willis, what's up, buddy? Bobby Hubbard, what's going on, man? Been too long. Lance Hall with a big 500 stars. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you, guys. Larry White, what's up, buddy? Appreciate all the stars, y'all. So let's get into some nearshore and offshore photos. The last 12-hour night trip crushed it. The 12-hour night trip most recently, unfortunately, couldn't make it out there. Captain James, you tried. You tried to free that boat with the hub.
Oh, yeah, we tried like crazy.
Yeah, unfortunately, post-hurricane this past Friday, so 2 days ago, we had the 12-hour night snapper scheduled. They unfortunately couldn't get the boat out. We were a little bit of a pickle there with the hurricane sand, so we had to cancel that last 12-hour night trip despite our best efforts. But we're back in action and looking forward to it this coming Friday. Not this past Friday, because unfortunately, like I said, it was canceled. The one previous to that, they crushed the fish, did really well on some nice mangrove snapper. And we didn't have the photos quite in time for last week's show, but we got them here for this week's show. And let me see. Yeah, there we go. Also, been seeing some nice hogfish. The hogfish bite, like Captain James said earlier, his half-day trip today caught 2 or 3 keeper hogfish and a bunch of throwbacks. We've been seeing some nice ones on the 10 hours and also, of course, on the 5-hour half day too. The 10 hour is going to be your best chance for those hogfish, but we're seeing a few hogfish on the 5-hour, and once it really starts to pick up, you'll have a good chance on the half day too, but really the 10 hour gives you the most amount of fishing time to really target those hogfish. Shark fishing continues to be pretty decent. pretty decent. This last Friday was a little tough for us on the shark trip, but overall we've been seeing a lot of sharks recently, and we're hoping to continue to get quite a few sharks until that water starts to cool off. More of the mangrove snapper from the last 12-hour night trip. They really, really crushed it. And the 44-hour trip that came in this morning, just a mangrove snapper sleigh fest.
Oh, they obliterated it. It was absolutely on. Capt. Brian and the boys went out there and definitely put it down. Even though the red snapper closed, they went out there and just absolutely hammered the mangoes. Had some really, really nice gags. Definitely a trip to write home about.
And they only had 36 keeper gags, but there was only about 33, 35 people there. And on top of that, almost everyone that I talked to said they broke off a lot. I know John Martin said he broke off 7 times in one spot. And Dan Jackman, one of our other guys who goes fishing quite a bit, said he broke off like 5 to 7 times. Another gentleman said he broke off 5 or 6 times. So if we would have landed all the gags we caught or hooked, we would have had an exponential catch on this recent 44-hour full moon trip. So the gags are there, they're biting. It's just a matter of trying to land those fish is a whole different challenge. Very, very difficult challenge, by the way. But the mangrove snapper bite is fired up, and we're excited about that too. So, and on top of that, they had a lot of yellowtails. They had a lot of porgies, a couple of vermilions, some lanes. We're fishing a little shallower to try to stay away from those red snapper now that they're closed. And the gags are starting to push in. This storm pushed a lot of gags in. The bite was going really well. So it's an exciting time to get out there. Plus lighter loads. Tuesday's 39-hour only has 25 people on it. So great number of people to get out there.
It's definitely time to take the chance, get out there. If you're looking to get into it, it's a really good time. You get a little bit more one-on-one time with the captain, with the deckhands running around. It's not as stressful, not as many lines in the water. So if you're looking to try it, now's the time to try it, and the fishing's absolutely great.
Wednesday's Extreme Trip has 12 people on it. Friday's Extreme Trip only has 7 people on it. So nice light loads on the Extreme Trips this week. Nice light loads on the 39-hour this week. Both really your best option for the gags. Best option for hogfish going to be the 10-hour or maybe the 5-hour half day too. So all awesome options with light loads. I think tomorrow's half day only has like 18 people on it. So crazy light loads right now. Even being Memorial Day, I'm surprised, pretty light. But let's give away a free trip. Let's see. You want to do a 5 or a 10-hour first?
Let's start with the 5. We got to work them up.
We'll work our way up. All right, 5-hour half day for one lucky winner. One lucky winner for 2 guests. Let's see who the lucky winner is. Edward Kinclear. I'm gonna go with that. Edward from Seminole, congratulations, my friend. You got 5 minutes or less to text us, Edward. That phone number at the bottom of the screen, 5 minutes or less. Shoot us a text and give us your home address, and we will send you out a free trip certificate, 5-hour half day for 2 guests. We also have the 10-hour all day for 2 guests, and our Hubbard's Marina swag pack, and the 39-hour trip for 1 to give away too. So let's get into the weather and show you guys what's going on weather-wise. Under the Hubbard's Marina website, click Fishing Trips, scroll down to the Weather Links page. On our Weather Links page, we're going to look at the Wind Finder forecast first. We're going to skip all the way down to the 39-hour trip and skip the Inshore report and look at this offshore report, and you can very clearly see at the top, we're looking real nice. Mid-work week, all the way through the weekend, going to be spectacular. Flat, calm, not a breath of wind. We still have a high pressure sitting on us, so we're going to be a little breezy, but near shore tomorrow is going to be nice, but offshore is going to be a little bumpy, 3.5 foot, almost 4 foot. Tuesday, it starts calming down a little bit. Again, inshore, near shore, 5-hour half day, 10-hour all day looks good. Tuesday, just a little breezy. And then Wednesday, gorgeous. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like the Lake of Mexico. Almost no wind and not that hot. Look at that. Low 80s. That's 82 degrees.
Definitely.
No wind, no seas. So like back in August, back in July, we had these days of no wind with 5-10 knot winds or less and 1 foot seas or less. And it was oppressively hot.
Absolutely cooking. I mean, guys, everybody had their T-shirts off, and you were just sweating.
Cooking.
Everybody was grinding out, getting a bunch of fish, but, man, you were definitely cooking. You doing it.
Now it's a high of 82, and that same perfect weather. So this is the time to take advantage of it. The days have already started to get shorter. Fall is in the air. There's less humidity in the air, and the fishing is hot. We're starting to see those patterns overlap, so really, really good options there. Back to the Weather Links page. Let's look at the inshore forecast real quick. Again, Monday, tomorrow, less than 2 foot inshore. Less than 2 foot on the near shore and inshore report Tuesday. So beautiful weather Monday and Tuesday if you're not going out real far, which is perfect for our 5 and 10 hour trips. And really going to be a nice beach day too with that east breeze, high pressure. Keeps the rain chance low. Going to be a little overcast, not going to be so hot. So really beautiful week of weather. Stick it inshore or near shore Monday, Tuesday, and then bump it offshore mid-work week and through the weekend. Best fishing really looks all the way through the period. Let's pop over to the Mike's weather page. We're coming up on that quarter moon phase. So tides are going to slow down a little bit coming through the weekend and into the start of the work week. Right now, you can see here, we've got this kind of low pressure trough stalling out. We have the high pressure settling in. That's what's causing this east wind as those troughs fight over our area. High pressure starts to settle in tomorrow a little bit more. That's why we have that stiffer east breeze. But that low pressure kind of weather is hanging around. That's why it's going to be a little overcast. This is Tuesday. Again, that high pressure lingers and keeps that increased east wind around. And this is Wednesday here. High pressure really settled in, but starts to weaken as that trough backs up. It's Thursday, high pressure still around Friday. So that's why we have really moderate conditions. Then over the weekend, starts to change it up. We get that little low pressure trough pushing down, and that's why we might see a little bit more of an adverse condition backside of the upcoming weekend. So like 8 days from now. But it's too early to tell. A lot can change between now and then. Now we're going to skip back over to the Mike's weather page. A lot of people have been asking me, what's going on with that storm out there, that big storm that's coming? It's so funny because it's like once a hurricane comes by, like we just had, all of a sudden people start paying attention to the tropical weather. And like before the last hurricane, no one even looked at the tropical weather.
Oh, it was like 2 days before, and I was like, what? A storm?
So now all of a sudden people are like paying attention to the National Hurricane Center. They're all worried about this red blob. Well, I mean, these things take days, weeks to really kind of develop, and there's a lot of different model iterations. Long story short, right now, nothing really showing on that next storm coming. You can see it kind of develop, and it kind of crumbs over to Lesser Antilles, kind of skirts north of Puerto Rico, and then kind of stops, puts on the brakes, and then kind of, GFS model goes too far out, so we don't look this far out. This is September 17th, so that's 14 days. That's 2 weeks away. So really don't look this far out because it's almost impossible for them to even know. It's lame that it goes this far out. The Euro model only goes about 7 days out, but even that is pretty far. You can see it kind of do the same track north of Puerto Rico, kind of cruises into the lower Bahamas and stops. A lot of the models have it recurving and kind of staying out over water, maybe being more of a Bermuda-style storm. So not really anything for us in Florida to be concerned over. Really, in Florida, as far as the next 2 weeks are concerned, right now, models aren't showing anything. So everybody take a deep breath and focus on recovering from Idalia, which is a weird pronunciation for storm.
I'm not even going to try it.
Touche, dog. Touche. So Todd Stutzman, appreciate those stars, my friend. Richard Harcourt with another 100 stars. Appreciate you, man. And Nick Nieves, by the way. Nieves. I've been mispronouncing it forever. 1,200 stars. Appreciate you, Nick, and the Skyway Fishing Club.
That's the brisket guy.
That's the
brisket guy. That's what I call him.
The brisket guy, the barbecue guy. He's also the ceviche guy. He's got a ceviche guy.
I don't know. I'm afraid.
And he's the
coquito
guy. Is
he?
Yeah, he's got coquito on deck.
I'll be putting him in my pockets.
Yeah, coquito's good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so with that, let's get into some questions and figure out what you guys want to talk about. Any gag tips for gear on the 39-hour trip? What are you bringing?
Honestly, I wouldn't bring anything less than 60 if you're gag fishing.
60? That seems light.
I go on the light side. I'd rather just break off, have a chance, than not get a bite. But that's me. 60 is the lightest. I would go, look, here it is right here.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed.
On Capt Brian's trip, he told everybody, he's like, you have 60 and up, and that's why they broke off so many.
Yeah, probably.
But you got to have a good story.
Nothing gets bigger than the gag that got away.
Yeah, nothing gets bigger or better. No, I like the 60-pound and make a pretty decent-sized leader. Maybe.
I'm just laughing because my dad texted me this morning after the video, because I talked about how they had 36 gags and they would have caught more if they landed all the ones. And he saw the video and he texted me. He was like, hey, did you tell everybody to make sure they're using 80 pounds or more? And I was like, Dad, I'm pretty sure they were all using 80 pounds or more, because Will even said I dropped down with 80 pound and caught
He told me 100. He told me he dropped down with 100.
Oh, well, he told me 80 this morning. So but I heard from John, like I said before, he broke off 7 gags at one stop, and he said he went all the way up to 125 pounds.
And he's very conditioned, too. He's ready.
He was using a 125-pound leader and still breaking fish off. So it doesn't much matter what you do, but I think 60 pounds is a little light.
You just got to pump them. That's all you got to do.
You got to get lucky.
Yeah.
Finesse, huh?
Yeah,
that's the trick.
The finesse, get them coming up. 60, 80-pound test is my go-to favorite.
But it also kind of depends on what you're fishing too, right? So like if you're doing a 10-hour trip, or if you're fishing the Hub private charter, like what you do a lot, then 60, 80 pound makes a lot of sense if you're around 100, 120, maybe 140 foot of water. But if you're fishing on a 39-hour trip with a big piece of bait, dropping down a 10, 12-inch live bait, like one of those Tom Tates or one of those white grunts or a porgy for bait,
yeah, you definitely need to hold on and be ready for it. Whenever we did commercial back then, we'd use the electric mates, and we'd have 100, and Kent Sard would be yelling at me. He's like, turn the handle, and you hit the button. It's like, rah, 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 and it would just lock up and stop. So if I was using 60, I'd be getting yelled at all day, but I don't know, that's what I dream about, 60 pound.
When I was real young, I would fish on the 39-hour trips with Capt Matt. Remember him?
Oh, man, he had the raccoon. You'd stand next to him, that raccoon come out and grab your legs.
The black hand out of the cooler. Scared me. But I would fish up in the bow, because back then, everybody wanted to fish the back of the boat. And so I'd be up there in the bow, and he could see me. And I liked fishing light tackle for mangrove, so I'd be fishing and inevitably hook something big and just get mossed, because I'm like 8, 9 years old.
He'd tell you, reel it up, come sit upstairs.
Oh, he'd get on the PA.
Oh, would he? Hit you with the PA?
He'd hit the PA. All right, Dylan broke off another fish. We got to move.
The voice from above. Oh, no.
So I learned quickly and was trained quickly to make sure you're using heavier tackle so you don't break off as much. Come gag grouper season especially, it's important, because you break off one of those gags, it sits in its hole, it's grunting, it can shut down the bite for everybody else. So I like starting a little heavier, but like James said, sometimes it pays off to get the bite and get the action. And that's why you're saying 60 pounds, because that gives you more action. You might break off more, but you're going to hook them.
Yeah, you'll still hook some stuff and have a little bit more action. And, if they're just chewing like crazy, tie on a thicker leader and drop it back down. That way, you're hooking up and you're getting them up more often. But sometimes if it's slow, you gotta start with something a little bit lighter just to get it going at least.
Good stuff for sure. Get the ball rolling. So next question: do the hurricanes change your fishing holes much? I'll let you take that one first.
Whenever you get those big storms that come through, I honestly
Cat 4 hurricane.
Yeah, Cat 4 hurricane, big storm. God bless everybody.
Your parents, you have family in Perry, Florida, so he's allowed to make the jokes.
Yeah, I do. I have a lot of family up in Steenhatchee, and then Perry, Florida, and Shady Grove and whatnot.
The hardest hit areas.
Yeah, they got hit pretty hard, and but they're troopers, and they've been getting after it, and it's a very, big community up there, and they all come together, which is great. But with these big storms that come by, I like to fish the really big structure. Whenever these fish, they sense it, they feel it. And it's just like how the mountain goats and stuff go way up in the mountains when they see them storms coming. Whatever.
Mountain goats?
know,
How did you equate fishing to mountain goats?
You know, they just like sense it.
I don't know. I don't know about mountain goats. Florida is the one place where you can go north and get further south.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Mountain goats. I saw it on Discovery. I know what I saw. But anyways, they sense it and they know it, and they start to go for the big structure and they hide. And then right after, they still hang around that big structure, and that's where you go and tear them up.
It was interesting before this 44-hour left. Captain Will, the first mate on the 44-hour, Captain Brian, we're upstairs and we were all talking together. All right, gag grouper, first trip of the season. What do we want to talk to the clients about? What do we want to prepare for? And we were kind of just chatting as a group prior to the trip. And Will was like, well, on our last red snapper trip, we got a bunch of gags in this area. They were all over the bait shows, and we had a lot of gags moving in that area, blah, blah, blah. And Captain Brian, who's been fishing in the area
30-plus years.
He doesn't like when you say the number of years.
A long
I got
time.
yelled at about that once.
Did you?
So he's been fishing in the area a long time, and he quickly snapped and quipped. He's like, listen, a storm just went by, a big hurricane just went by. Those fish are going to be on the bigger ledges. They're all going to be up in the rock piles, and that's what they went and did. They fished a rocky area, a little shallower. And just like you said, those fish went to the ledges. They went for the structure, and we talked about it before the storms. It's a lot like how you and I shelter in place for hurricanes, right? Everybody kind of went to somewhere and hung out and kind of stayed sheltered for the storm. It's the same thing these fish do, man.
I stayed on the boat.
You did stay on the boat. You sheltered though.
I did.
I did. You were sheltered.
I was curled up on the friendly in that wind.
I saw you and Scraps made some comfortable little beds.
So listen, we already know we're going to camp on the boat, and he doesn't bring a blanket. And I'm not turning the AC off. That's not an option. So he fell asleep, and I quietly, he's a heavy sleeper, covered him in aluminum foil like old arigatos, how they'd wrap up your food and make an animal. I basically made a Scraps.
And you had a Disney Frozen pillowcase.
And now that's my daughter's, and I was kind of out of options. I didn't want to bring my nice pillow, so I may have
brought your daughter's.
I may have taken Jesse's pillow. I'll give it back. I got to wash it first, but I will give it back.
So you didn't want to bring your nice stuff. You
no,
just took your child.
Just took my child.
Okay.
No.
All right. Do you have rod holders for bent butts with electric reels? No, we do not. We have a couple rod holders in the back that work for bent butt rods, but they're not meant for bottom fishing. And really, in reality, any fishing we do is going to be less than 250, 300 foot. So we're not using electric reels or bent butt rods for our style of fishing. Now, some folks use electric reels because they have some physical limitations like shoulder issues or arm issues or elbow issues, and those folks can bring kind of those rod holder extensions that kind of come up and then become a bent butt, and those work, but you just kind of got to come on the boat prior to a trip and get the measurements and order the right thing. So you're welcome to come down, check out the boat. We can talk about that over the phone and help try to accommodate you if you do have a physical limitation. But if you don't, we don't recommend it, and it's not really needed or necessary. So if you don't need an electric reel, don't use an electric reel because hand cranking works fine. And especially if you're fishing less than 250 foot of water, you really don't need the electric reel. It's more bulky and more stuff to move around, and it's harder to feel the bite. So you're going to be more effective and efficient without it.
Oh, definitely.
Moving from the Pacific Northwest, lots to learn. When you troll, how fast do you troll and how deep do you run? Do you use a downrigger? So Pacific Northwest, you're going to be doing a lot of trolling up there for that's salmon territory. You got those river trout up there. You got a lot of different trolling stuff. And you do some of that rock fishing on the bottom out there in deeper water. Here, it gets deep really, really slowly. So we don't do a lot of trolling near shore until you get pretty deep offshore. And you got to go far. And most of the time, trolling near shore, we're trolling 6 to 9 knots for mackerel and kingfish, unless you're doing the gag grouper troll.
Yeah, basically pulling some spoons and planers like 5, 6, 7 knots, depending on how the conditions are and whatnot, and you just kind of got to figure it out between switching out different size spoons, different size planers. I really don't like to go past the number 1 planer, just because our area is pretty shallow. If you stay within 15 miles is where you'll be getting the mackerel and stuff anyways. And honestly, you're just getting a number 2 or number 3 is just too deep. You know, sometimes they work, but for the most part, number
And they're
1.
hard to reel up.
Oh yeah, you definitely you let somebody else reel it up. You're like, you got it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's give away another trip, and we'll answer some more questions. We gave away the 5-hour half day already. Let's do our 10-hour all day for one lucky winner, 2 guests. 10-hour all day. Let's see who the lucky winner is. Angel Parent Perez, congratulations on your 10-hour all day for 1 lucky winner and 2 guests. So, Angel, you got 5 minutes or less. Text us your full home address to the phone number at the bottom of the screen. Let's see, what else do we got question-wise? As we rip through some questions, can I use an electric for a grouper? So we covered this one about electric rods already. How many sandbags do I need to fill to get a free 10-hour trip? You need to come with at least 17 dump trucks. No, that's a good question. We have a lot of sand to give away.
How many pickle buckets? Remember we had a guy that used to trade us pickle buckets.
Yeah,
and
we do need 5-gallon buckets.
How many pickle buckets was it to have a trip?
It wasn't very many.
Was that?
No, it was. I think we gave buckets nowadays are expensive, man.
Yeah, they are. They're like $5.
If I went to go
$8.
buy a bucket at not even at Home Depot because they're outrageous. I think they're like $6 or $7.
And these buckets were premium because you would hold it close and it smelled like pickles, even whenever you had your live bait.
Yeah, the pickle buckets.
They were
but we did have
buckets.
to clean them, so it was a little bit more challenging. But I think at the cheapest bucket I found the other day in bulk, we had to order like an ungodly amount. It was like $3 or $4 a bucket.
Was
so,
it really?
Yeah, so we'll work out a deal. If you got a line on bringing me 5-gallon buckets, we can barter on those.
We got plenty of
and
sand.
firearms. Moving on. How did Hubbard's beach fare after the storm? Unfortunately, locals do not use it for sandbags. The city gives away a bunch of free sandbags, and they pay for sand, ironically. So the city of Madeira Beach pays to have sand trucked in, and we sit buried with sand. And unfortunately, we did not fare well. The beach behind Hubbard's Marina tripled in size, and the beach that was behind Hubbard's Marina is all in our parking lot now. And I shoveled sand for about 8 hours straight Thursday. And then we had a bobcat come in and take what we shoveled and everything else from the street and pile it up. We have 3 house-sized piles of sand in our parking lot. Then we had a street sweeper. I ran down the street after a street sweeper. It was a funny story.
Did you?
Yeah, there was a street sweeper moving through John's Pass. I'm like, what's that doing here? And I ran after it, and it was a guy. It was a random guy who had his street sweeper. And he was driving a street sweeper around. I was like, do you work for the city? Are you a contractor? He was like, no, I sell these things. I'm a salesman. And I was like, what? You sell street sweepers? And he was like, yeah. And the city doesn't want to buy this one, so I'm just down here doing a few tests and taking a few videos. And I said, if you want to do a test, I've got a test for you. So I told him to come down, and then he sees it, and he was like, oh, this is too much. And I was like, well, we can barter, I can help you. And he was like, oh, okay, I'll do a couple passes. He did 1 pass, and his truck was full. And he was like, I don't know. I'm not getting paid for this. I can't be here all day. And I was like, listen, I'll help you. I'll block the road. No cars will be over here. We'll move everything, and I'll give you whatever you want. I'll pay you. So we ended up bartering for fishing trips and a little bit of money, and we got him to street sweep our area. So we had a bobcat, a street sweeper, shoveling for multiple hours. We finally got all the sand piled up, and now we have nowhere to go with it.
Chris wanted all of us to be competitive. Each pile, every captain or deckhand got to make a sandcastle. We never ended up doing it.
I won.
But no, you would, dude.
I did win. I 100% won. It was fun, though. We had a lot of fun, and then went swimming and redid all the water lines. It was a day, Thursday. But we're up and running, and Hubbard's Beach is being fought. But we are fighting for our lives. The sand situation is not good at all. It is bad. And ironically, I had Channel 10 News came down and did an interview with me today, because all the beaches are so critically eroded, all the beaches don't have sand. And I was like, oh, would you like to do the interview in front of this big pile of sand right here that I'm trying to get rid of? The news reporter didn't think it was as funny as I did, but
I had to try.
I tried. Yeah, I was like, oh, I'll talk about the sand missing from all the beaches in front of the sand that we're trying to get rid of. But the connection was not made. All right, so let's get on to the next question. Hey guys, we'll be over in October. What's open on the extreme trip? October, we're going to be really focused offshore on the gags, mangroves, yellowtails, and others, heads and tails, and then near shore in October, really focused on hogfish. So some really good options there. It's going to be a good time. October's exciting.
Oh, it's very exciting.
You look excited.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't go around with like a trick-or-treat bag, looking for fish. But, yeah, no, it's a great time of year. The weather.
Weather is my favorite. Like, the first 2 weeks of October is great. The cold fronts haven't really settled in yet. It's not super hardened down fronts. Hurricane season's kind of winding down for the most part. It's been getting later.
It's ice cream weather. You go outside with what are they called? What's the ice cream sandwiches? The Fat Boy. You go out there with the Fat Boy, and they don't melt that fast, so you can just enjoy it. You don't have to scarf it down, and it starts melting all over your hands while you're fishing. That's my time of weather. So, yeah, I am excited for October.
So, mountain goats and Fat Boy ice cream bars. We're learning so much tonight. I'm so excited. So, it is an exciting time of year. It is good weather time, and definitely excited. Dylan, can you get northern mackerel in the store for bait? Boston mackerel or northern mackerel? We do have sometimes. It really depends on bait supply. Sometimes they're just too expensive. It's not really worth it to sell. But we'll have bonita a lot of times, those smaller bonita. If you have 5-gallon buckets to donate, drop me an email, info@hubbardsmarina.com. We can work that out. Or just give me a call either way, or just stop by, bring some buckets. Yeah, or text the number. Text the number on the screen. Yeah, email it or call if I don't answer the bucket or the phone number. I try to answer it fast, but bucket with lids or no lids. We don't want the lids. We lose the lids. Don't need the lids. If you have the lids, you can bring them, but we'll probably lose them pretty fast. We just need buckets and firearms. Is Gag Grouper open October 24th? Gags are open September 1st through November 10th. September 1st through November 10th. So we got lots of time for those gag groupers. Let's do one more question here, and then we'll do our swag pack. Let's see here. Did the hurricane make fishing better or worse? It depends on who you ask and what day you ask it. It made fishing tough Friday for the night shark trip. The night snapper got canceled because we had some problems with the boat trying to get out of the slip. The sand is killing us. We had some problems near shore. We're anchoring up on the half-day trip, but that's helping the hogfish bite, and we're still getting the gray snapper, just a little bit more of a picky bite. We're not drifting. Offshore, it made the gag grouper bite really good.
Yeah, they killed it. So that storm was definitely a big plus, I feel like, with that one.
And it's making fish move. So the storm moves fish. That's what it does, and it gets things moving, and it's that transition time of year where fall has fallen. And we're seeing it already. So let's see who won the Hubbard's Marina swag pack. Remember, if you're picked as the lucky winner for the swag pack, you also, besides texting us your full home address to the phone number at the bottom of the screen, you also have to send us your t-shirt size so we can send you out a t-shirt. All right, let's see here who won our Hubbard's Marina swag pack for one lucky winner. Sean Gossier, what's up, my friend? From Coral Springs, congratulations. Hitting too many buttons. My bad. Congrats, Sean, on the lucky win of the Hubbard's Marina swag pack. Make sure you text us your full home address and your t-shirt size. We'll get that out to you, my friend. Is there any facility for keeping live bait on the boat? Why, yes, there is a facility. On our 39 and 44-hour trips, you have your own personal live well. The 10 hours, you have a community live well. 12-hour extreme is a community live well. Private charters, you got your own private live well. We do private charters, too. People don't know that.
Yeah, people don't realize that we take 6 people or less. You take one. Have one person show up, 12, 14, 50.
Yeah.
We do it all.
Any size group, any style of fishing, whatever you want to do. If you want to go gator hunting, bow fishing, tarpon fishing, snook fishing, red fishing, if you want to take one person or 100 people, it doesn't matter. We do it all. And if we don't do it, our friends over at The Real Animals, Capt Mike Anderson, can get you set up too. So either you go near shore, offshore fishing with us on one of our boats, or if we're booked, we'll send you to one of our friends over at Don's Dock. Or if you want to go inshore fishing, we'll send you with Capt Mike and get you set up there. So we have a trip for everyone to do anything you want, any size group. It's awesome. It's perfect. And we're the #1 fishing charter in the country.
Well, that's to be expected.
All right, next question. This is Old Mar from Lakeland. Do you think that the magic thread would help keep shrimp on the hook when fishing for mangrove snapper from shore? Not familiar with the magic thread, but it sounds like a pretty cool little gimmick. I've seen things like threading the baits. We used that down in Costa Rica fishing blue runners for sailfish. You could probably do it for shrimp as well, but shrimp get pulled off the hook so fast. I probably would just stick to normal hook style.
Just leave it. Just buy like a bunch.
Bunch.
That's the best way to do it. Buy a bunch. If you have fresh dead, you can cut that shrimp in half. Use both pieces. Use one piece at a time.
Yeah.
If they've been dead for a bit, the head's usually falling off. Just might as well just throw the whole shrimp on because you ain't going to get 2 pieces out of it. And if you do, it's going to be little.
Yep. Want to try to keep them live. Fresh dead is better than been dead. So live or fresh dead works well. So some people will take live shrimp, and if they're starting to die, or if their aerator dies, or if they don't have an aerator, you can take those fresh shrimp and put them on ice, and they'll stay fresh dead longer, and they won't start turning pink on you. If you just leave them in the bucket without an aerator, they die pretty quick. Then they start turning pink on you. And once they're pink, kind of become soft and slimy, and they stink, and they don't stay on the hook as well. So really fresh dead or live, really preferably live is the best. But it's a little difficult to keep them alive unless you're keeping them in the live well at the back of the boat, or you buy one of those Ingle live bait coolers, which is top notch and works really well. But it is a little pricey, but it's worth it. What is the best bait and rig setup for gags?
I'm not answering this one. Not.
Someone's a little heartbroken there. But me personally, I would start with 80-pound test. 60 would work for gags near shore. But if you're going deep, I'd start with 80. Probably doing more 7, 8-aught hooks to start, unless you're fishing, again, near shore. 60, 6-aught hooks, maybe on a 10-hour trip. But anything more than that, really going 80, 7, 8-aught hooks to start. Then using offshore on a 39-hour, something like that, maybe starting 100 with 10-aught hooks. Really, the bait is going to dictate your hook size, right? So if you're using a 4-inch pinfish, it doesn't make sense to use a 12-aught hook. No. But if you're using a 10-inch white grunt for a piece of bait, or a 12 or 14-inch piece of bait, then you want to use a 10, 12-aught hook and a 100-pound main line, or a 100-pound leader, or a 125-pound leader. Bigger the bait, the bigger the weight, too, because the weight's often going to equate to your main line. So if you got a 100-pound main line, you want to use an 8, 10-ounce egg sinker. So it depends on your bait, depends on your depth of water, but big bait, big tackle, big patience equals big fish.
No yanking, only cranking.
Crank, don't yank. And you can't sit on your pooper and catch a grouper. You got to stand up. You got to be ready. You got to have your finger on the trigger, as they say, meaning you've got that rod tucked up underneath your arm. You got your left hand out in front. You've got it tucked into your elbow, and you're ready to go to war. If you've ever, what we should do is film Garrett. Have you ever seen Garrett hook?
Listen, I've seen Garrett. Garrett, now don't get me wrong, he's one of the best out there.
Have you seen Garrett hook a gag, though?
I've seen Garrett. Now, hook a gag. Oh, he goes on. He's like, bam.
It's crazy.
It is crazy, but I watched him one time do an amberjack. Did this for like 30 minutes with the diamond jig. Set it down, turn around, poop, rod right in the water. Something hit it. So all his theories don't work.
So you threw it all out the window after you saw that?
Oh, I saw that, and I was like, dude. He's like, that was my favorite rod. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, so it's aggression, 100% aggression. You got to be ready. You got to have your finger on the trigger, and you got to be ready to explode when he bites. And you got to crank, got to get handles, turns on the handle, and really go to war for 5 to 20 seconds. Get that fish up off the bottom. Once you got him up off the bottom, then it's all finesse from there and finishing the fight. So got to be ready for war, though. And really heavy drag is the secret. You want to have the right tool for the job. You don't want to go to war with an undersized weapon, right? So you want to make sure you have a good drag, something 35, 40 pounds of drag minimally or more. Using something with 20 pounds of drag to catch a big gag, dropping down a 10-inch piece of bait with a reel with 20 pounds of drag doesn't make any sense. If you've got a reel with 20 pounds of drag, you should be using a dead bait or maybe a 4-inch pinfish. But if you've got a bigger reel, bigger tackle, bigger bait, bigger fish. Right?
Touche.
All right. I think we got time for one more. We're doing well on the questions tonight. Are you sure fish with 8 ounces of weight or 10 on the 39-hour? Really depends on the current and your main line. If you're using 60-pound main line, 6 ounces of weight is probably plenty. Unless the current's really ripping, then you might want to use a little heavier. What?
8. I always 60 or 40. Not for gags. Not forgetting. No 40 for gags. You ain't hear that from me. I always, if you ain't using an 8, you're going to be late. I like to be the first one to hit the bottom, crank one in right in front of everybody, put the rod in the holder, go do a lap, check on everybody. That's my go-to. Everybody's got a 4 or 6 on. I beat them there every time.
So there is something to be said about being the first to bottom.
Oh,
first bait to bottom.
That's a real deal.
But you want to wait till the captain tells you to drop them down. Don't be
that guy. Yeah, don't be that guy that pitches right off the pulp, right in front of you, and he turns and looks at you. Hits you with one of these, and you're just like, come on, guy. And so you know what I do? You grab the mic, you tell him, if you catch a fish right now before I turn it off, no jackpot. And that's it. And you just let it roll.
Don't drop down until the captain tells you, because a lot of times we're still adjusting the boat, yada, yada. But there is something to be said about being first to bottom. The first bait to bottom, the big aggressive fish is sometimes there ready to chew. And then also the last few seconds of the spot dropping down something different that they haven't seen. So if everybody's using thread fin, squid, maybe a couple pinfish, and you drop down a cigar minnow or a whole squid or a slab of bonita, that last bit of the spot.
I like the motor bite. I always tell everybody, leave it down there. I'm going to start the motors, leave it down there for just a couple minutes till I come back on, because sometimes that motor bite, get them going, they'll instantly hit.
Yes, I mean, a lot of times we talked earlier about those hogfish hanging back and kind of being unaggressive and kind of checking things out, and gags do the same thing. And that motor turning on kind of gets them amped. And if they've been staring at a piece of bait and checking it out, casing the place for a minute, and then all of a sudden that motor starts, they're gonna go after that.
Ready to rock.
Yeah, it's gonna entice them to eat what they've been looking at. So sometimes that motor bite does turn them on and does entice them to get after it. So you never know. We are unfortunately out of time. If you are part of our supporters group, of course, we're gonna spend some more time in the supporters after show, getting after it and answering some more questions and doing some more conversation in the supporters after show. If you're not a supporter and you want to become one tonight, you can join. Josh is going to drop the link in the chat for you to become a supporter. It's only $4.99 a month. You get private access to our private supporters group, behind the scenes info, more one-on-one connection, and a lot more communication. So the behind the scenes stuff, the supporters after show, join us in the supporters group. The supporters after show will start up at 8:50. Is that enough time, Josh? 8:50. 850 supporters after show. Be there or be square. Appreciate all the star senders tonight, shooting us some stars. We had Richard Harcourt finishing us out. George Afterburn with 250. Appreciate you, man. Michelle Stabile, Todd Stutzman. Appreciate y'all and everyone else sending stars tonight. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show and my guest. Thank you for coming on the show tonight.
Really appreciate you having me here.
Appreciate you, Captain James.
Look up the mountain goats. It's a real deal. Mountain goat. If you see them going up,
don't ruin it. Don't ruin it. We had a good show.
We did. Okay. They're going to be looking it up. I know that.
All right. So let's see who won the 39-hour trip. Then we'll meet you over in the supporters after show. Join us every Sunday night right here for the live stream show every Sunday night at 7:30. Remember, we've got our Bartow Ford event. I'm going to be in person at Bartow Ford with Capt Mike October 3rd, 6 to 8 p.m. 10/7, October 7th, Saturday, I'm going to be over in Safety Harbor for the Off the Hook speaking event at 11 a.m. September 30th, I'm going to be at St. Pete Fishing Outfitters. Haven't confirmed a time yet, but I'm going to be there. They have an event in their parking lot. September 29th, we've got Final Friday. This guy right here, Capt. James, is going to be on the crawfish pot, cooking up some yummy crawfish. Join us September 29th for the crawfish boil and Final Friday. Let's see who won our 39-hour trip for one lucky winner. 39-hour for one goes to Lynn Sykes. Congratulations, Lynn from Tampa. Hopefully, we'll see you guys next week for another episode. Hopefully, you had a good show tonight. Remember, tell a friend this week. Tag one friend. Share this on your timeline. Tell your friends to come check us out at Hubbard's Marina. Come find out why we're the #1 fishing charter in the country. Thank you for helping us win that, by the way. And hopefully we'll see you soon out on the water. Don't forget, if you're too busy to go fishing,
Just too busy.
y'all have a good night. Thanks for watching.
Good one, guys.